What's going on, everybody? I'm making a new video. It should be a quick little fun type of install. Maybe I'll get some good information here for anybody that's curious about this part. So what I'm going to be installing today, or at least I hope to be installing today, is a Currie Antirock for my TJ. I've actually had this sitting around for like, I don't know, 6 months or something like that, so this should be pretty cool. This seems to be like one of the go-to parts for all the TJ owners out there. I don't know the exact science behind it, but I'm assuming that somebody did their research or whatever. It's supposed to help off-road by giving some pressure on tires in a certain way. It's kind of complicated to explain. But one cool part about this kit is that when you go off-road, you don't have to disconnect your sway bar end links or anything like that. And another thing I really do like about it, actually this is kind of controversial, but I do like that it has like Heim joints instead of rubber bushings, because they should last a little bit longer in theory. We will find out about that. Kit comes with the bushings. This is what the actual torsion bar will sit in. And then there's some hardware. Not a lot of hardware, so that's really good. Comes with some instructions. And then finally, well, not finally, so here's the torsion bar. It's pretty small actually. And then the arms should be in here somewhere. There they are. So these right here are one of the most noticeable and iconic parts, if you ask me, on a TJ. Bam, there it is. And I actually did see somewhere that somebody was shipped 2 left arms. So before you get started and go too far, make sure that you have 2 opposite arms, not 2 of the same. So there's all the parts: the torsion bar, the 2 arms, bushings, the hardware, and the end links. I did previously open this and just kind of loosely screw the joints onto the bar here. So those will come separately, no big deal. Some nice locking nuts. So the next thing to do will be get this stock sway bar off. So here is the stock sway bar on a TJ. They will all look about the same. Here is the stock bushings that will get completely taken off, and it allows you to actually push a winch back further if you wanted to. And then down here we have just some rough country sway bar disconnects. They'll all generally look about the same. I'm excited not to have to deal with pulling the pin anymore and using a hammer to smash it back in there. One thing I do have to keep in mind on this is the Antirock uses this hole in the frame to mount the torsion bar. So I need to be careful, or remember that I do have to take the bumper off, 1, to slide in the torsion bar, and 2, I need to make sure that the arm in its articulation doesn't hit the bottom of the bumper here. So we'll see how that goes. So up here we got 4 15mm bolts, 2 on each bushing, and then I'm just going to pull out the disconnects, and this whole entire thing should just come right off. So one thing I'm gonna do before I even try and loosen these bolts up is get some PB Blaster on there, or your choice of penetrant, I guess they call it. And conveniently enough, in the frame there are these holes here, so you can get whatever you want to use in there and actually get the bottom of the threads. Oops. Or you can just do that, okay. So one thing I'm kind of realizing here is that if you're having trouble getting these bolts out, something that could help, I don't know by how much, is actually disconnecting your sway bar down here because if you're parked on any sort of uneven ground, it'll take any sort of tension off of the bushings here, and that could make it easier to release it. This side is actually not going too bad. This side's giving me a fight, and getting that bolt back there is going to be not too fun. Alright, so there's the original bushings and all. That's what the frame looks like. Not too bad in there. Threads are still in good shape. This just looks like it's some leftover from the bushing, the original bushing. Alright, so now that I have the original sway bar out, I am going to go ahead and take the bumper off, or at least like swing it to the side so I can get in there. If you have a stubby bumper or a no bumper, or I guess even the stock bumper, you could probably just work around it and skip the step. But to make it easier to slide this stuff in, I am going to just go ahead and take the bumper off. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Alright, so now that I got the bumper twisted off to the side, this part is probably pretty self-explanatory. Take the bushing, it only fits in one way, and just shove it in there, I suppose. Well, that doesn't really fit that well, does it? Not at all. Alright. That's gonna take some trimming or something. Oh yeah, no, that's horrible. That's horrible. That is. Alright, so I was able to get the bushings just kind of pressed in there with a rubber mallet. And again, like I said, this is a super easy install, so torsion bar, it's gonna get shoved in, go through the other side, and then we'll bolt on the arms and then the links, and then yeah. I'm gonna use that rubber mallet again. Alright, so I got the torsion bar through the bushing, but that was a pain by itself, and now both of the ends need to be centered in the bushing. So now I'm pushing through two bushings, and it's not going well. I think I need a bigger hammer. Alright, bigger hammer to the rescue. There's one side, and you want these even like they say in the instructions, so we're pretty good. Next is we're going to put on the arms, and this hardware is for that. It's pretty self-explanatory. The long ones will go through here to tighten this on, and the short ones go into the torsion bar to keep the arm from falling off. I guess they both keep it from falling off, but that one protects the splines from spinning, so these are important. Definitely gonna need that hammer again. Seems to be the theme with this. So one thing that's gonna be important here when you're putting on the arms is that you have them both in the same angle, or both facing the same plane, or on the same splines, because if this one's sticking up and the other one's like down a little bit, your sway bars, you probably will be able to adjust it with the adjustable links, but it's better off just to have them the same. So you can just kind of eyeball it. If not, you can pull it off and, you know, adjust it. No big deal. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, so now that you have your arms on, this is probably the trickiest part of this whole install. The issue for me is that I have these like longer sway bar tabs. You can see they stick up really tall. So the instructions say to set this parallel to the frame, which I'm assuming is this like flat part here. And then you measure from the center of this hole to the center of the middle hole on the arm, and that is the length that you want on your sway bar link. But as you can see, that's for me only like I think I measured it, it was like 5 inches. So I might cheat it a little bit and give me like 6. But either way, for my setup, and they do recommend on a certain lift kit setup that you cut down the rods. As you can see, they give you a bunch of extra thread so that you can trim these rods down and get the length that you desire. So I'm gonna have to do that, and we're gonna have to use a hacksaw so we don't mess up the threads, unfortunately. Okay, so I got the threaded rods cut down. I cut them down to the length that I needed, but the actual joints will bottom out once the threads stop on the rod. So right now they're pretty much as short of this as they can go. So you can see that they're not parallel, the arms are not parallel with the frame, but I don't think it'll be an issue. It doesn't, you know, like the bumper only comes back to the back of the bolts-ish, so it shouldn't hit, and I don't really have a lot of up travel, as you can see in there, so we'll see. If anything, I can notch out my bumper, but I think we'll be okay. So that's pretty much everything done, and now we just gotta bolt the bumper back up. Oh, and I did use the center hole on the sway bar. The instructions say that the first 2 are for on-road use only, and I was going to use the second one in, but I'm worried that with some flex off-road it might like limit whatever, so I didn't use that. I put it in the middle. If anything, just pull it off, put it in whatever one I want. This would be stiffer. I do like a stiff sway bar. I do not recommend removing your sway bar. And then back here you'd have your loose one for probably more like a trail rig or something. But that's pretty much everything. This is a 5/8, that's a 3/4. Yeah, looks good. Alright, so there is the Antirock all wrapped up. It does look like I will be fine as far as clearances on the sway bar. And like I said, I don't have a lot of up travel over there, so I think I'll be okay there. I zip tied the plastic fairing back on because I don't have anything under there now, and it just kind of hides that gap until I can get a winch on there. But looks good. Alright, so now some time has passed and I have had a chance to take the Jeep out for a ride, of course with the new sway bar, and it drives exactly how you would expect it to drive with a less stiff sway bar. I think right now, the way that this thing is set up with the axle swap and the track bar is like really short, so it's like really kind of jerky, I guess is the way to put it. So this thing doesn't really drive that good without a sway bar. And I have it in the middle setting, which is supposed to be the stiffest off-road setting, or yeah, that's what it is. So I think it's just enough to maintain control on the road. I think I might make it a little bit stiffer, and then if I know I'm going wheeling, I'll switch it to the soft setting. But otherwise, no problems. It clears the stubby bumper, no problem, and overall looks nice. Should be easier to maintain too than those old rubber bushings that wear out in like a year or so. And also I'm really excited not to have to deal with the pins anymore. So yeah, it's a good little install. Worth $350. That's completely your call. I don't really think so, but if you have the cash, go for it. So that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this helped you in any sort of way. If you have any questions, let me know down there. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.